I'm going to take you to a place today not far away from Madrid, Spain. This has been on my bucket list for a while, and this is one of the modern marvels at its time. 2,000 years ago. Gigantic, absolutely breathtaking. Story behind it. Let's go.
Segovia shouldn't exist at this scale, but the Romans found something extraordinary in these mountains. Pure water, endless granite in the land that could feed an empire. Therefore, they built one of the greatest pieces of engineering in Roman history, the Segovia Aqueduct, a masterpiece that has stood for nearly 2,000 years without a single drop of mortar. Therefore, the aqueduct didn't just bring water, it created Segovia's golden age, a Roman hub, a crossroads of trade, a city that should have crumbled with time, but never did. Walk under it and you feel the weight of centuries balanced on stones that refuse to fall. But Segovia is more than the aqueduct. Look up, the Alcazar rises like a ship castle at the edge of a cliff. Once a royal fortress and one of the inspirations for Disney's Cinderella castle. Turn the corner. The cathedral towers above the medieval streets, the last great Gothic cathedral ever built in Spain. So the real question is, how did one small city end up with three of Spain's greatest wonders concentrated in one place? And is this legendary city worth visiting?
So guys, welcome to Segovia, Spain. Is this the most historic town or city in Spain? There's a lot to offer here. That's a very opinionated statement. Let's see if we can get any truth to that. Let's go. So the Roman aqueduct behind me, nearly 2,000 years old. No mortar is actually between a lot of these stones here. So you're going to see engineering at the highest level 2,000 years ago. The aqueduct here is about 813 meters long. It has about 167 arches. It's about 28.5 meters high. Now, the whole distance of it's about 15 kilometers long, making it just absolutely amazing. Now, this was started really in the 1st century AD, went into the beginning of the 2nd century AD. And as you can see, it's still standing. So this whole area is a UNESCO heritage site here in Segovia, Spain. It's about 45 minutes to 1 hour by train or bus, taxi, whatever you want to do. Train tickets can range from something 6 euros up to 40, depending on when you book it. But around here, the whole region around here, you go about 30 minutes to 45 minutes around Segovia. There's all these little towns that you can really go through. Maybe rent a car. We're going to see what we can find. This is kind of like at the epicenter of just the pure beauty and architecture that people have seen. I had no idea this was here, but definitely on the bucket list if you come to Madrid and you go north.
So the big question, how was this actually built, the aqueduct? The Romans built Segovia's aqueduct with a mix of precision, muscle, and genius. First, engineers surveyed the mountains and the city, calculating a slope so perfect that water would flow naturally for 15 kilometers. But even a tiny error could stop the flow. Therefore, they measured the gradient again and again until it was exact. They quarried massive granite blocks from nearby hills and shaped them with remarkable accuracy. But stones this heavy had to fit together like puzzle pieces. Therefore, master masons cut each block until the joints were flawless. To raise the arches, carpenters built temporary wooden frames. Workers placed the wedge-shaped stones along the frame until the keystone locked the arc. But if the keystone wasn't perfect, the entire arch would collapse. Therefore, they adjusted every stone before removing the support. On top, They built the water channel with the same gentle slope, smoothing it so the water could glide through the city. But erosion and debris could ruin the system over time. Therefore, they protected vulnerable sections and maintained the line constantly. And that's how a 2,000-year-old aqueduct, built without mortar, concrete, and steel, still stands in perfect alignment today.
So among Roman aqueducts, this is not the longest. The longest one is 91 kilometers. It's in Rome. It's not the tallest. The tallest is the Pont du Gard in France. There's actually a third tier on top of it, which would be even more amazing. But this one, look at this. I'm just walking and walking and walking, and it doesn't end. What's more amazing is this was still used until like the mid-19th century, and maybe even past that. So I mean, they used it for quite a while. 2,000 years of engineering, still just working like fine wine, yeah? So I've been walking for about 15 minutes from the city center, where the epic part and the two tiers. But we're just going all the way into the city. Let's see where this thing ends. So the aqueduct here, just shockingly and surprisingly, brought in 5 to 8 million gallons of water per day from the Frio River, not far away. And that's just, I mean, that's mind-blowing. So much water.
Instead of me explaining this right off my phone, let's do it this way. So how did this whole system work exactly? Mountain water from the Frio River entered a stone intake in the hills, then flowed through channels, tunnels, and settling tanks that removed sand and debris. From there, the water followed the aqueduct's incredibly gentle slope into the city, using nothing but gravity. But even tiny disruptions could stop the flow. Therefore, the Romans built filters, inspection points, and smooth channels to keep the water moving clean and steady all the way to Segovia's fountains and baths.
So one of the big questions I keep hearing, how big was this city back in the day? It goes from 20,000 people up to 30,000 people. And that amount of water, 5 to 8 million gallons per day, would be sufficient for a population around 25 to 30,000 people. Today, the city's around 50,000 people, and you don't see it at all right now. It's during the week, but no one's out here. Anyway, just an absolutely gorgeous town and city.
As far as small cities or larger towns, Segovia has to be mentioned among the most amazing places in Spain. The moment you arrive, one thing dominates everything: the Roman aqueduct. It's one of the greatest Roman engineering feats outside Italy. But the aqueduct is only the beginning. Climb into the old town and you hit the Alcazar of Segovia, a cliff-top fortress that looks straight out of a fantasy film. A few steps farther, the Segovia Cathedral rises above the rooftops, the final great Gothic cathedral of Spain. Therefore, Segovia offers something rare: Roman power, medieval drama, and Golden Age Spain packed into one small walkable city. Its stone streets, arches, towers, and views make it feel timeless. A visit here isn't optional. Segovia is unforgettable. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate this episode of Traveling on the Go. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. Anything else I can do for you, I am here. That's going to do it. I am out of here. We have a lot more adventures coming up, like into the deserts of Dubai and the biggest waterfall system in the world in Brazil. Take care, guys.